Hello and welcome to this video. Today we will be talking about the TARDIS set and how I built it, as well as some other props that went into episode 1 and 2. So let's get started. So a lot of times when you're trying to build a set, you want to have some sort of large allocated space for that set, but you don't always need some sort of warehouse or some sort of studio. A lot of people use sheds, but I commandeered my dining room to be my TARDIS set. It already had wood floors, so that went well with the console and the walls, which are also stained to be wooden, kind of like the season 14 Tom Baker era console. So the console room is made up of 6 individual walls made of 1/4 inch plywood. These walls are held up by A-frames. Cut it. So the console room is divided into 6 different walls, each connected by this piece of trim right here. And there's multiple pieces of trim that wrap around each board. So the walls themselves are 1/4 inch, 4 by 8 foot piece of plywood, stained to match the floor and the console. On the backs of these boards, there are these 2x4s, which structurally support it so it doesn't wobble as much. And then we have a support beam that holds it up vertically. So each wall has 7 separate hexagons, which are basically the roundels for this console room set. So the hexagons are just hexagons you can buy at the dollar store, or we bought it from Target, and they're just painted and cut in half so that they don't stick out as much. Although we did kind of buy out all the hexagons from Target, so we had to go to Michael's to buy the rest of them. And those hexagons are a little thinner but larger, and we put those in the middle of each panel. So the hexagons themselves are just attached with wood glue and some support beams, some little L brackets. And in the middle of each hexagon, we have some white packing foam that is cut into a hexagon. We also have that in the middle, but instead of leaving it there, we put a plastic hexagon on top of it with some sort of custom Gallifreyan message, which they actually do say something, which it's very cool. On the inside, we have these LED lights, which light up blue or any color you want, but we usually keep them blue for the TARDIS if it's not, in any danger. Too cold. Haven't been to Earth in a while. So this wall is unique from all the other ones in that it has 2 key differences. The first difference is that it has this hexagon right here, which is not cut in half like all the other ones which make up the roundels. Instead, it was left intact, and it acts as some sort of shelf for the Doctor to put items of whatever he has on the shelf. And they change throughout the episodes, so be on the lookout for that. So the other key difference of this wall in particular is the monitor. So the monitor is based off of the classic Doctor Who screen when it opened up and revealed the whatever's outside the TARDIS. So it actually does work, as you can see here. And behind it is a green screen. So all it is a pulley system with this piece of wood being pulled up, and then you can put it back down. Makes a loud noise. Perfect. And then we just have some trim to match the rest of the roundels around the screen. And there's a sticky note with circular Gallifreyan, just like David Tennant.
What do we have here? A stress signal.
Like Star Trek?
So about halfway through building the TARDIS set, I kind of realized that, I might need a door.
Come on.
Holy, it's bigger on the inside than...
On the outside?
Yeah, how in the world?
This can't be real. It's bigger on the inside than the outside?
That's the general idea.
So we quickly put together this door right here. Only one of them opens, which is the one that the doctor usually uses. This one stays shut, so it acts as some sort of support beam for the whole wall, so it doesn't tumble down. The door itself is just made up of the 1/4 inch wall, which was cut out of this right here, and then some trim on top of it, and painted like all the other roundels. So this window frame right here is made up of foam strips, which are just cut really thin, and then we have these pieces of paper which match the window for the exterior of the TARDIS. So this side up here is just a black and white piece of vinyl, which is just a reversed image of the police box sign on the outside of the TARDIS, which it's just put inside this wooden frame that we built and painted the same color as the Roundels. So the centerpiece of the console room is, of course, the TARDIS console itself. So the console is based off of the classic Doctor Who Series 14 console, which was during the Tom Baker era. What's very unique about this console is it doesn't have a time rotor, and then all its controls are inside these panels which open up, very much like a Victorian cabinet. I chose this console for a couple of main and important reasons. Firstly, it's just very, very different from all the other ones, and different is kind of what I'm going for with this series. Also, it was wooden, so it matched the floors of the dining room, and also it was the smallest, so I could fit it in my house. So we'll go ahead and show all the controls in order.
Gone for 3 days and someone's already invading Earth. Work! Sorry.
So this first panel houses the lighting controls for the entire console. So you have the white lights and the red lights. The panel didn't actually always look like this. It did not have this wooden silver piece right here and these 4 switches. It was a lot more boring and a little more colorful. So these 2 hexagonal switches up here were taken from a Radio Shack. They just got little push buttons. These buttons right here are just small little push buttons as well. These are toggle switches. These are blue push buttons that don't really do anything. And then these are 4 small toggle switches. In terms of what they do in the show itself, it's the life support control, engine control, emergency lights and main power. Then you have space-time control and the shield control, and then you have diagnostics, screen control, the door control, and the main locking mechanism.
So who's it from?
No clue. Let's find out.
So the second panel houses the telepathic circuits, which is just a plasma disc inserted into this metal gear looking thing. So it just has a few knobs, this push button, and this, which is reminiscent of the Paul McGann panel where he had a whole bunch of wires and they plug into different holes. So in terms of what they do in the show, we have the communication system right here. So this is the on-off switch. We have the volume right here and the frequency. And then this is the telepathic circuits switch, just to turn it on and off. And this is the power conduit circuitry. So this is the main power, secondary power, and then emergency power. So this next panel houses this meter right here, which is supposed to be the danger meter. as seen in William Hartnell's TARDIS console. It also has this missile switch right here, which with a toggle underneath, which is the fast return switch. Right here we have these cool looking switches from Radio Shack as well, and this is the controls for the time vortex, the past, and the future. We have these rocker switches right here, which are the stabilizers for the TARDIS when it's in flight, and then these numbered dials right here, which act as the date controls for when it goes through time. Could try the 29th century. Let's give that one a whirl. So this is probably the most important panel in terms of functionality. So it has the main dematerialization lever, which is basically a circle of wood cut in half and then sanded off and painted silver with this lever in the middle. And then they have these small push buttons on the side. It's very reminiscent of the classic series dematerialization lever, which is very fitting since this is, of course, a classic series console design. Let's give that one a whirl.
What are you waiting for? Let's go.
And that's how I met the doctor.
So the fifth panel, which I call the flight panel, has a lot more silver to it. It's actually probably my favorite panel. It has this silver piece right here, which is made of the same material as the silver panel on panel number 1. But this piece, however, it looks the same, but it's 3D printed rather than made of wood, just because I needed these grooves for these sliders, which pop off. You can see they just pop right back on. It also has these knobs right here. And then it has these 4 switches up here, which are colored. The switches are based off of the Dynamic Work 2012's Doctor Who fan film TARDIS console, which they had on every single rendition of their consoles. But I thought it worked quite nicely with the silver and with this console. Past, present, or future?
How about past?
Ready? So the final panel is directly based off of the original design of this console. It has no controls, but it is a shelf, a writing shelf. So this panel is divided into 3 different shelves, which house different things, like psychic paper, and then it has this drawer underneath, which houses various props. Although this panel doesn't have any lights or switches that make sounds, it's just a much more practical usage of the space on the TARDIS console.
Check your left pocket. This is your sonic device.
Right. Yes, I do believe I sort of remember how this works. So the sonic used for this series is a sonic custom designed by myself and then manufactured by a company called Custom Sonics. It's a completely metal prop with some lights and sounds. And it's supposed to be a mix of the classic series with the new series. So it's the basic shape and color is very reminiscent of the classic series, but it's a lot more modern and retro with this ring right here being pointed forward and the whole lighting system.
Targeting algorithm completed. Warning.
Get in! Sorry, but we're closed for business. So episode 2 introduced the CYBERMAN as a villain on my series in particular. So there were multiple renditions of the Cybermen, but most of them were kind of a merging of the Fifth Doctor Earthshock Cybermen with the modern David Tennant's Cybermen. So this helmet right here is the main Cyberman helmet. It's just one of the Cybermen voice-changing toy, but we filled out the back with foam and then painted it all a uniform color. And then for the Cyber controllers, we took wire coverings and painted them dark silver and put it on top of the handlebars. The Cyberman had a jumpsuit that was silver, and then these gloves, which were just construction gloves. As you can see, the silver spray paint's wearing off, but they're just construction gloves that look very robotic. And then the Cybermen had these bracers and a lot of different foam pieces that kept this clear wire tubing that went all the way up to the Cyberman's chest piece. So this is just made out of foam, Velcro right here, and it just goes over the wrist. So for the half-converted humans, we use this headpiece right here. It's just headbands with this Cyberman helmet-looking piece made out of foam, and then these plastic straws that make up the handlebars. So the lights are housed in this old film canister, and it's just a watch battery with a small LED, and as you can see, the lights change colors a bit. So for the Cyberman's chest piece, we had this replica of the Earthshock Cyberman. It's just a piece that slips on, and it's made out of fiberglass, and it just attaches to the rest of the costume, and then the helmet goes on top of it.
You two, behind me!
No.
Doctor!
Can't be.
It's the prisoner! Open fire! Cyberman! Doctor!
Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions about how we built these sets or these props, or just questions about filmmaking in general, do ask in the comments section of this video, and I will do my best to respond as quickly as possible. Stay tuned for episode 3.